Good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Candy Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Evan Sokinyi, and I'm glad that this fine morning you've joined us for our usual conversations here with Prof. Definitely, we are giving you comprehensive analysis of all that is taking place in this country and across the borders, only on Kenya's most comprehensive political and public governance analysis show. My name is Evan Sokinyi. I'm glad you're here with us. Professor, how are you?
I'm okay.
Yes.
And you?
I'm good.
Wonderful. Yes.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Yes.
At least the kind of tension that we've witnessed in the past 2 weeks or so is not.
Everything is okay in the country.
We're going back to the courts.
This is a God-loving country. Yes.
We are still following up on what is taking place with regards to the impeachment of the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Of course, we are expecting the courts to actually bring in and deliver their verdict. I know the petition that was actually brought forth to challenge, or rather that once the conservatory orders that actually passed the assumption of office of Professor Kithure Kindiki lifted here. But then that decided the point. Let's wait and see what takes place then. But we still tell our viewers that we'll keep them updated. Let's go to the other side of politics, siasa as it is here on this platform. You saw for the first time some of the Orange Democratic Movement leaders were at President Ruto's backyard, and they were attending the same function with him. The likes of Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament Peter Kaluma and your good friend Migori Senator Eddie Okech were very present there. But then I'm like, really? Because Kaluma was talking and he was saying here that, look, for those who think that we are leaving this place, we're not leaving anytime soon. We are here and we are here to stay. And of course, he brought in the talk about Raila's AUC candidature and whether the president support that or not. Let's get in here. Of course, we know the president is supporting that. But then what kind of interests do you think are actually responsible for the kind of alliance that we are actually witnessing between the Nyanza bloc and the Ruto-led bloc?
Well, they are working together. They are working together. They have perhaps an agenda. There must be a deal between Ruto and Raila. And his lieutenants are taking the cue from him and must be supportive. The script. Naturally, there will be people who are more jumpy than others, more zealous than others, more excited than others. Some will even be juvenile. So in this category of people who want to appear to support this working together more than the others, Kaluma is part of that. Eddie, my friend, young man, would want to come out as a reasonable supporter, a person advancing reasons as to why that engagement between Raila and Ruto is the right thing. But Kaluma is just a cheerleader, the supporter, a court poet, you know how court poets. Yeah. But another thing is, there are also those from Raila's side who think Ruto is going to give Raila more slots, either in cabinet or in other place. So Kaluma belongs again to that category of people who think the hyena's hand is about to fall. So they must be very close to the hyena.
So therefore, it cannot just be about the AUC.
No.
Because they were saying here that
let me summarize. Some of the Luo leaders want to come out in the open to show that they are really supportive of this thing, to win Raila's favor. Not even Ruto, Raila's favor. To show that among Raila's followers and lieutenants, they are top. Okay? There are those who are overexcited with the deal. There could be those who are in the know. More likely than not, those who know what's going on, you will not find them jumping like Kaluma. They know what's going on. They are part of the game. Those who are not part of the game like Kaluma want to show they are close to the game. And then I've also told you there are those, and I think Kaluma is one of those, who think Ruto is about to give more positions to Raila, and they should be the beneficiaries. Yeah, so you can understand it like that.
It's already...
And it's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
The people who actually are saying here that maybe there are those who perhaps the imminent departure of Raila from Kenya's active political scene here would render them political orphans here and now, perhaps scheming on their survival.
That's again natural. That's again natural, but how do you scheme? You don't scheme in the manner in which Kaluma is scheming. Yeah.
Okay. Now let's look at this.
If you can call it scheming at all. I think it's just like a toad jumping in broad daylight. Yeah.
Let's look at this, Prof, here. Of course, you've said, we've been here analyzing all these things, all these political happenings and events in the country long enough. And I think to some extent, we may have a hint on what is happening here. You said very well that Ruto losing the mountain would be sort of a problem to him. But now, can you comfortably say that maybe it's true that he has gained the full support of the Luo Nyanza region? Because right now, they're right there with him.
Let's say he has gotten the full support. Can it replace Mount Kenya? The answer
That is
is
the
no.
bigger question here.
The answer is no. No. Even if every Nyanza voter turned out to vote, that's not sufficient to replace the mountain votes. But we know again how those people vote.
Okay. Now, the bigger question would be, has he lost the mountain, that is?
Of course.
You're saying he has lost the mountain. On the same event, there was a member of parliament, of course, Njuguna, who said very well that if Kaluma is inside here and they are saying that they are not leaving anytime soon, meaning they are here to stay, why then should we leave the government? We are here to stay as well. Do you think that perhaps even if Gachagua is ousted completely, then the mountain would still remain somehow with Ruto?
You see, politics, anything is possible. But we are talking about now. Currently, the mountain is not with Ruto.
Okay.
There are possibilities that the mountain could still work with Ruto. The Rift Valley communities, the community from Rift Valley, fought very badly with the community of Mount Kenya in 2007. But who would have known they would work together? Come 2013, they were together. So politicians have always a way of building alliances, forgetting, because what drives a politician is the interest. So it is possible the mountain and Ruto can still work together. For example, if Uhuru and Raila and some senior politicians from Mount Kenya team up, they may end up convincing the mountain that it's in their interest to support Ruto for one more term. Even if Gachagua has gone. It's possible. Yeah.
So the bigger question here would be, can Ruto gain, or rather regain, the full support of the mountain, maybe in the manner in which he got it last time, without Gachagua?
What I'm saying is, when Gachagua goes, if he goes, even before Gachagua goes, the mountain has slipped away from Ruto. That's a fact. And something extraordinary must happen for him to regain the mountain. That's what I'm saying. Okay. And I'm also adding that politics is politics. That is possible. So we are talking about theoretical possibilities. We are almost being academic. But that in politics is allowed, because the unexpected always happens. But if we were to go with what we are seeing, with the anger of the Mount Kenya people, then Ruto will never get them again. Yeah.
Okay. It has been said, and of course you've said here, that Raila choosing to work with Ruto, or to be seen to be in some sort of a coalition with Ruto back then, would amount to some sort of betrayal. But then you've also said here that this is politics and there are no permanent enemies, no permanent friends, and we are here at this particular moment. And still my question would be, do you think that somehow, with the full support, that is full support of the Luo region, then now Ruto may actually just relax?
But I've told you that Luo don't have votes to make Ruto survive, relax. I've told you, how many times do you want me to tell you? In the last election, there were 2.1 million votes. How many were there from Mount Kenya? I'm just talking about figures. How many Mount Kenya votes are there? almost more than double that number of Luo votes. I've also told you the Luos are not good voters. When their own son had come so close to winning, out of the 2.1 million registered voters, only 1.4 million voters turned out to vote for Raila. When he had his best chance, 700,000 Luos didn't vote. Raila was beaten by 200,000 votes. And we are not talking about Luos in Nairobi, we are talking about Nyanza. Those kind of people cannot be counted for serious support. You cannot abandon the Mount Kenya vote and hope to replace that with the Luo vote. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Herman Manyora's YouTube channel reaches millions of Kenyans every single month, directly through the platform and indirectly through different social media platforms. Our serious political and governance audience are more than willing to purchase products and services marketed to this platform. With zero competition from other digital platforms in this arena, we guarantee that your product will be visible to the client base you seek. Contact us today to find out more about our audience and how you can advertise through Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. Time to reach that willing buyer.
I remember we had this conversation with you. I remember at the beginning of his tenure, the president was trying to kind of penetrate and go to Nyanza region, maybe try to gain some sort of support and influence. And by that time, he was in the company of the former CS for, of course, you know, ICT, Eliud Owalo, and the others, the interior, of course, PS Raymond Omolo. And you said very well that you cannot actually get in here without Raila's approval.
Still
or
true.
Without going through Raila directly.
True.
So now that that has happened, and right now they're working with Raila.
There's no problem. Yeah, he'll get Luo votes.
So he'll get them.
Haven't said no.
So do we look at this kind of arrangement in terms of the 6.9 million votes that Raila gathered, or just the Luo region votes? What is the president looking at here?
I think I have said this and I want to repeat. The president seems to think, him and his advisors, if he has any, seem to think if you have Western Kenya, because of Mudavadi and Raila, even if you lose the mountain, there is a possibility by giving Kindiki you can get Mount Kenya East. And if you played your cards well, and I'm sure he is about to make several moves, including getting Uhuru people into government, those people, you know? He seems to calculate, you get the whole of Mount Kenya East, you get a fraction of Mount Kenya West, you get the whole of Nyanza, you get the whole of Western. And then pockets of coast where you and you are home and dry. That's his calculation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But can that calculation work? I mean, what's the reality? What are the chances that that can actually...
It will not work, one, because Mount Kenya will not vote for him in the way he thinks. There will be a wave. You have seen the songs that are being sung in Mugidi places and what have you. There will be a wave. I think the president doesn't understand Mount Kenya people. Because they voted for him and he was able to move them from 2013, wooing them slowly, and then managing them in 2022. He thinks he understands them. He doesn't understand the people. These people can also be very difficult people. They are angry and they are annoyed. And I don't think he can convince them to vote for him. And not in the manner I've just suggested, which I think is what he thinks. Something else has to happen. Something different. Not the usual stuff. Not the usual way. Again, if you rely on Raila, you may not get Raila's traditional votes in the sense in which those votes have always been there. Because there's a lot that is happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if at all he thinks that getting Raila on board would mean starting at 6.9 million,
No.
that is not it.
There are votes Raila got because he's Raila. Because he's Raila. Because Raila represented something. Raila has always represented the voice of reason. The progressive forces have always rallied around Raila. The forces of change. People who think this country can be better. I don't think all those people will go with Raila to Ruto. Because To many people, Ruto represents the opposite of that. The opposite what is good for this country. So I don't think you can inherit Raila's votes. It's even worse than that. I don't think even if Raila now stands, he will get his votes. The doubts that people have had about his dealings and about him as a person will erode into that following, into those votes. But Raila, I have said, is a political genius. He can come and re-engineer the game. And you find all these people and more follow him. What I cannot vouch for is that he can use his magical skills in politics to turn the votes to Ruto. That I have reservations about. Yeah.
So you think that President
But for himself, Raila can re-engineer the game. He can reinvent himself and get the votes he got and even more and beat Ruto. But what I will not see as possible is him transferring those votes to Ruto. Apart from the Luo votes. The Luo people will follow Raila to Ruto. But again, it depends on other dynamics because our politics is being influenced by dynamics that we have not witnessed before. Yeah.
Talk to me about his, of course, his stand on unity, having the country all united, and of course, successfully depicting his deputy, he is now the impeached deputy president, as anti-unity. Do you think that perhaps trying to sell this kind of narrative out there would then maybe help surface, bring him on board, and at the end of the day, maybe work for him in terms of his calculations in 2027?
I don't think so.
Because it's like the hustler narrative is actually dead right now. People are not going to buy that. Is the president trying to coin and come up with a different narrative that may propel him there?
People see this for what it is. Just politicians are ganging up together to fill their stomachs. People know it. Now it can't sell to the public. That narrative can only sell to the Luo nation because they follow Raila in a fanatical way. But nobody else can buy that narrative. People know it's about politicians and their interests. People know it's about self-interests. That politicians are joining Ruto, not because they want national unity, but because they get something out of it. And the Ruto also gets something out of it by way of political stability, which is good for the country. Yeah.
Are we likely to see this as he is now a main narrative that you would be riding with along as we move towards the 2027? Because right now we are talking about some sort of, it has moved from the Kenya Kwanza regime to a broad-based kind of regime. And that is the kind of someone that the president is preaching currently.
It will not work. Kenyans are not buying into that. Yeah.
Okay. Do you expect him to come back with the hustler king?
He has to come up with something else. And he has to be prepared for the new thinking in the country. The nightmare for Ruto and anybody else for that matter is about the Gen Z revolution. That level of organization, that level of mobilization, that idea that this country can be better, all it will take is for the citizens to be active. That is the revolution I'm talking about. That nobody can beat that.
If the revolution wave can actually be sustained to 2027, then you believe that it could somehow work in terms of tilting the scale on who actually becomes the president of this country next?
Yeah, you see, the wave doesn't even need to be sustained. Because there are two ways Gen Zs can influence the politics of this country. One, between now and 2027, we can have more of what we had in June. And that could completely redefine the country's course in terms of politics. But even if they just went quiet the way they are quiet now, all they will need, and I think this will happen very easily, is to mobilize to participate in the 2027 election. Keeping them away from 2027 election will be the biggest nightmare for anybody. Because once they are committed to influencing the election of 2027, then many of the politicians as we currently know them will be swept under.
Okay.
Yeah, they will be swept under. And whichever political side finds favor with the Gen Zs will carry the day.
Okay.
So if the Gen Zs are convinced by Ruto that it is in their interest to support him, he'll carry the day. That looks most unlikely. So it is a question of who is coming. Who can exploit the Gen Z movement and get to State House?
Okay.
Is it Kalonzo Musyoka? Is it Matiang'i? Is it Omtata? Is it Manyora? Is it Okinyi? Is it Ryan, the Masai man? Something like that.
But can it be Ruto?
Yes, politics is politics. Politics is politics.
When the Gen Zs are actually...
There are most unlikely things happen in politics. I mentioned how at some point I asked Kenyans, how did we get to a point where Raila will be fighting for his life against Ruto? Who would have imagined that? That Ruto became a formidable candidate at the top there. Who would have imagined a few years earlier? Okay. But that is politics for you. It happens. So anything can happen. You can find Ruto has become the darling of Gen Zs.
Okay.
Yeah. It depends on how he engineers his own game. But on the face of it, any reasonable man will tell you he's the man Gen Zs want out yesterday. So how he can now become their favorite is a Herculean task. It's like climbing a big mountain. But politicians do climb mountains, and Ruto has shown he can climb mountains. Yeah, he can even move them. Yeah, Ruto can not only climb mountains; he can move mountains. And I'm not saying in the biblical sense, or the Christians, please. I don't mean that. Yeah.
Okay, so in as much as he is still here, planning for maybe the 2027 thing, can you therefore certainly say that even if the larger Luo region stay put and stay with him as the MPs who are present at that particular function are saying, but then ultimately he has to pay for the onslaught on Gachagua?
That one, pay time will come. At some point. And I said it before they began. I didn't see them impeaching Gachagua because I told them, when you will be panting and huffing and sweating, you'll sit down and say, what did Manyora tell us? Why was it necessary to antagonize Mount Kenya? Was there no better way of doing it? And I'm sure there would have been a better way of doing it if it was not a game of egos. You would have, Gachagua was at some point scared enough to know he was going to be removed. That is the time when politicians strike, they bring you on that table, sit down. So you see, you are not what you think you are, Bwana Gachagua. We can get rid of you. And now we'll stop this impeachment, but on very clear conditions. We are going to work together the way we started. This is a no goes on. This is a no goes on. This is a no goes on. And we will have a way of monitoring it. You falter, make one wrong step, move, you go. You know you can go. He would have accepted. He's a politician. He looks at his own survival. But the game of egos, I think, led them into impeaching Gachagua. Okay. There will come a time when Ruto will pay for that. He will realize it was not necessary. He could still win 2027. But the struggle Ruto will go through, he will wish he had not antagonized the mountain. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, that is what Prof here is saying. But what are you saying? Talk to us. Comment down there. Tell us definitely what you think about this particular situation. Do you think that President Ruto will have to pay for the onslaught on the embattled Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua? Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to stop this conversation at this particular moment. Stay tuned to some of our programs that will be coming up next. And of course, if you are watching us for the first time, subscribe to our channel here and be free to support us through the number that is down there. Till we have this conversation again, have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans Okini.